Who needs MLOps? What data scientists seek to accomplish, and how can MLOps help? This is a paper for the workshop on AI engineering. The paper was authored by Sasu Mäkinen and Tommi Mikkonen from the University of Helsinki, and Henrik Skogström and Eero Laaksonen from Valohai. As background, this paper talks about MLOps, and what MLOps is trying to do is bring the learnings from continuous software development and the DevOps methodology to machine learning and turning machine learning development to a continuous cycle. So what MLOps advocates for is automation and monitoring at all different steps in the ML system development lifecycle. And we are talking about terminology like CI/CD and automatic infrastructure management. The basis of this study was conducted as a survey in early 2020 called State of ML 2020. We received responses from 331 professionals across 63 different countries, broadly working in the ML domain. Most of them had titles like data scientists or machine learning engineers. And the respondents were sourced from LinkedIn, the Valohai community, and then a weekly newsletter called Data Science Weekly. And one interesting finding that I pulled up here is that many of the respondents see their role as building both models and infrastructure. The bulk of this paper focuses on the questions, what are you trying to accomplish in the next 3 months? So we wanted to figure out where are these organizations in their machine learning journey. And the top 3 answers for these questions were developing models for production use, deploying models to production, and optimizing models. The bottom 3 formed make data more accessible, monitor models in production, and automate retraining models. So clear favorite was the develop models for production use. Based on these results, we proposed there are 3 stages that an organization goes through in their machine learning maturity. And the first being data-centric, where they are figuring out how to manage and utilize data. So within the survey, the responses around collecting more data and figuring out how data can be used and how to make that accessible speak to this stage. Then they move on to the model-centric stage, where the organization is figuring out how to build their first model and get that into production. So optimizing models, improving the potential of machine learning and learning machine learning technologies all fit under this model-centric stage. And then from there, the organization moves to a pipeline-centric stage where they might already have models in production and they are increasingly business critical. Here they are talking about automating retraining of models, automating the deployment of models and monitoring models in production. And really what we see from this is the value of MLOps increases through these maturity stages. So going from data-centric, MLOps might not be as relevant, but when you get to pipeline-centric, when you have those models in production, MLOps becomes increasingly critical. So where is machine learning going? What we see is that machine learning is moving away from those one-man proof of concept projects into production scale machine learning systems. And the interesting discussion to be had here is what will the roles and teams look like in the future for machine learning? What will the full stack for machine learning look like? Today, we see that data and models are on top of mind for most, but we see that there is a clear set of pioneers who are advancing in the MLOps arena. And their focus is on production scale systems, and that often means larger teams and a more infrastructure-focused mindset. And these are our findings. Thank you.
Okay, so we are back and Tommi is with me. We are on stage. So we already got the 3 questions, Tommi. Do you want to start? The first one is from Luis.
And I have 2 minutes to answer to those. Number one is that of course, model-centric activities are at the core of machine learning because model is the thing that moves the machine learning part to the operations. But for sure, everything that you have to do to the data before you get the model, that is really, really a lot of work. And I agree that this is a key limitation of MLOps. I mean, for Grace's question, that
and Grace is asking if what data scientists are going to do if we can automate everything. I mean, let me rephrase Grace.
I don't think that we can automate everything. I mean, once we know enough, we can automate what we know, but the data scientist will be there to help building better models and better understand the data.
Okay.
And finally, model retraining for ML, it is, well, how would I put it? It is indeed complicated. And I agree that this is something that you cannot do instantaneously in the foreseeable future in the general form. So there's going to be plenty of work in optimizing how to make this continuous development happen on that side. But at the same time, I don't think that there is an easy answer to that because of the computational complexity associated with retraining or training in general.
And there is another question about if you have an idea about the optimal pipeline, how it will look like, and the main variation points.
This is actually a good question. We are running a case study with a company in Finland, a consultancy company that has built several MLOps pipelines. And we are trying to understand the variations between the pipelines done for the different use cases for different customers, so that we would better understand where the differences lie and what are really the important characteristics of the pipeline in general. But that said, this is very much ongoing work, and I have no conclusive answer to the question.
And I can see a final remark from Lionel. Change, that is model retraining for machine learning, is a complex subject in itself, no continuous development without that.
Yes, and I take it as granted that in the foreseeable future, much of the training things are something.
2 seconds.